They say one reckless night can ruin your whole life. I thought that was just something people said to scare you. But it turns out, one night really can come back years later, in the form of a child with your eyes. It all started on what was supposed to be a regular Tuesday. The sun was shining, classes were boring as usual, and I was walking with Tina to the economics building. Tina had been my best friend since high school. Smart, grounded, a little too serious, but always there for me. She'd picked the same major as me, though I knew she probably would have thrived in something completely different. I didn't realize then how much she had sacrificed just to be close to me. As for me, I wasn't exactly Dean's List material. I spent more time rehearsing with my band than studying. College felt like a formality. Music was my real dream. Tina knew that, and despite her constant nagging about deadlines and exams, she never gave up on me. We were halfway across the square, laughing about something stupid, probably how I hadn't turned in another assignment, when we saw her. A woman stepped in front of us, blocking our path. She looked out of place, her face pale, eyes tired, and in her arms was a toddler, maybe around 2. I blinked, confused. Then she spoke. "Georgie." I froze. It took a second, but the recognition hit me like a brick wall. The beach. The hotel. The summer after high school. Her name. "Angela?" "I'm sorry," I said. "Do I know you?" She gave me a tight, bitter smile. "I figured you might not remember." And then came the bombshell. "This is your daughter. Her name is Stasia." The world tilted. Tina's mouth dropped open. I took a step back, laughing nervously, waiting for the punchline. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "You and I." "Zatoka." Almost 2 years ago. My stomach dropped. I hadn't thought about that night in ages. A reckless summer fling, fueled by cheap drinks and even cheaper decisions. I remembered her now, bits and pieces. But a child? This has to be a joke. Angela shook her head. "I wish it were. Look, I don't want anything from you. I'm in Kiev for a medical procedure, a biopsy. It might be cancer. My aunt was supposed to watch her, but she had a stroke. I have no one else." She was practically pleading. Her voice cracked. "Please, just for a few hours. I'll be back by 7. She thrust a small bag into my hands before I could respond, pressed a kiss to the child's head, and disappeared into the crowd. I looked down. A pair of curious eyes stared back at me. "Stasia, my daughter?" I stood there frozen while Tina, always the fixer, took control. She gently took the baby, adjusted her jacket to keep her warm, and told me to get it together. "You can't just stand there," she said. "She needs help." "I don't even know if it's mine," I muttered. "Does that matter right now?" We brought Stasia back to Tina's place. Her mom was home, and without asking too many questions, she set up an old crib, found some formula, and made the toddler comfortable. It was surreal. Just that morning, I was worried about my guitar strings. Now there was a baby napping in Tina's living room. I didn't stay long. I left, telling them I needed air, which really meant I needed to not be around any of it. I met up with my band, went to a bar, drank too much, and pretended my life hadn't just turned upside down. Next morning, I slept through every alarm. When I checked my phone, I had 8 missed calls and 5 texts from Tina. She cried all night. "Where are you? You can't just disappear. She's your responsibility too. Call me." I groaned and dragged myself to campus, expecting maybe a slap on the wrist. Instead, I got a verbal explosion. Tina was furious. "She was screaming for hours," she said. "And you didn't even check in. Not one message. I didn't sign up for this." I barked back. "How do I even know she's mine? She looks like you." Tina shot back. Same eyes, same smirk, same stubborn silence. "I can't do this," I said, rubbing my face. "I have a life. A band. Classes. I'm not a dad." "Yeah, well, maybe you should have thought of that before hooking up with random girls on the beach." We stood there, breathing heavily, both of us too angry to speak. That night, we waited for Angela. 7 p.m. came and went. By 8, we knew she wasn't coming. What if she never comes back? Tina whispered. I didn't have an answer. And in that silence, one thing became painfully clear. If Angela really vanished, this kid, she was mine to deal with. And I wasn't ready. Not even close. The next few days were a mess. Angela never called. Never showed up. No texts. No emails. Just vanished, like a ghost. I kept telling myself she'd be back. That she was in the hospital, maybe lost her phone, maybe. I don't know. But days turned into a week, and there was still no sign of her. And through it all, there was Stasia, this tiny human, clinging to routines I didn't understand, crying at random hours, refusing to eat if I held the spoon but gobbling it all down if Tina fed her. I had no idea what I was doing. None. Tina, somehow, had turned into a supermom overnight. She knew how to calm Stasia, how to feed her, how to change her diaper with one hand while answering a phone call with the other. And me? I was just there. Useless. Every time I held her, I felt like I was holding a bomb that could explode any second. You need to step up, Tina told me one morning as we cleaned up after another chaotic breakfast. She's your daughter. I never asked for this, I muttered for the 100th time. And she never asked to be abandoned, she snapped back. The truth hit hard. Eventually, I started skipping class. I stopped going to band practice. I spent more and more time in Tina's kitchen, trying to learn how to not suck at holding a baby. I learned to heat formula to just the right temperature, to rock her just the right way when she was gassy, to recognize which cry meant hungry and which one meant change me. And somewhere in all that chaos, something shifted. I started liking it. Not all of it, obviously. The diapers were still hell. But when she reached out for me for the first time, her tiny hand grabbing my finger, something inside me cracked open. See, Tina said. She knows her dad. It made me feel things I didn't expect. Guilt. Responsibility. And this strange warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. But just as I was starting to accept the idea that maybe I could handle this, everything came crashing down. Tina walked into the kitchen one afternoon, her face pale. I found Angela. I nearly dropped the bottle I was holding. She's alive. Tina nodded. Barely. She's in a hospital private clinic, in critical condition. Complications from the biopsy. She had no one else to list as an emergency contact, except you. My legs gave out. I sat down hard. Where? Tina handed me a scrap of paper with the clinic's name and address. We should go. Now. I looked at Stasia, who was giggling at her own reflection in a spoon, and then at Tina. My heart pounded. Let's go, I said. And just like that, we packed a diaper bag, wrapped Stasia in her little coat, and ran out the door, chasing the ghost of a woman who had dropped a child into our lives and vanished. But none of us were ready for what we would find next. The private clinic was in a quiet neighborhood, the kind with white walls, glass doors, and too much silence. When we arrived, the receptionist raised an eyebrow at the sight of a baby on my hip and Tina beside me. Angela Lipatova? I asked. Room 314, she said, after checking a screen. But she's sedated. You can't see her tonight. She listed me as emergency contact, I insisted. She looked me up and down, as if doubting I could even spell emergency. She's stable now. Come back tomorrow morning. We sat in the waiting room for what felt like hours. Tina fed Stasia and tried to keep her entertained with jingling keys. I just sat there, watching the elevators, like Angela might suddenly appear, healthy, smiling, ready to explain everything. She didn't. The next morning, we returned. The nurse led me in first. Angela looked small, pale, tubes everywhere, machines beeping. My stomach churned. She opened her eyes when I approached. Barely. You came, she whispered. I didn't have a choice. She gave a weak laugh, then winced. You're mad. I don't even know what I am. She turned her head toward the window. I didn't plan to dump her on you like that. I didn't know what else to do. Why not leave her with your aunt? She had a stroke, Georgie. I had to go into surgery. They were checking for lymphoma. I had no one. Silence fell. I glanced back at the door, half hoping Tina would walk in and interrupt the moment. I was scared, Angela continued. I didn't think you'd even remember me, let alone help. Well, you weren't wrong. She smiled faintly. But you did help. That's more than I expected. I stared at her for a long time. I didn't feel hate. I didn't feel love. I just felt tired. You should rest, I said. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my hand. Please, don't give her up. She needs someone. I nodded, even though I wasn't sure what I was agreeing to. Outside, Tina was bouncing Stasia on her lap. She okay? She asked. She will be. Maybe. We rode home in silence. That night, I held Stasia while she slept. I looked at her tiny face, the way she curled up when I rubbed her back, and something inside me shifted again. She wasn't just a problem dot. She wasn't an accident dot. She was a person dot. She was my daughter. I just didn't know what the hell to do with that truth. Angela's condition stabilized, but she wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. The doctors said she'd need weeks of recovery, maybe more. And there were bills, serious ones. I wasn't even sure who was going to pay for them. Meanwhile, life outside that hospital room kept moving. Tina and I had somehow become accidental parents. I was skipping more and more classes, barely making it to band rehearsals, and constantly checking my phone, half expecting Angela to call and say, "I'm taking her back." But that call never came. Instead, something else happened. A knock on the door. Two plainclothes officers. They said they needed to talk. Tina froze. I tried to stay calm, holding Stasia in one arm, praying she wouldn't cry. "Are you Georgi Ivanovich?" one of them asked. "Yes. You're listed in a report filed by a woman named Angela Lipatova." My stomach turned to ice. "She's accusing someone, potentially both of you, of kidnapping her daughter." "What?" Tina nearly shouted. "That's insane. May we come in?" They didn't wait for an answer. We sat in the kitchen. They asked questions: how we got the baby, where Angela was, whether we had documentation. Of course we didn't. "She left her with us voluntarily," Tina explained. "She said she was going to the hospital and had no one else." The officers exchanged looks. "Can you prove that?" Well, she said it. "In person? Any texts? Messages? Anything in writing?" "No. But she's in the hospital. You can talk to her." "We will. But until then, we'll need a statement from both of you." It felt like I was in a nightmare. After they left, Tina collapsed onto the couch, her hands trembling. "She's trying to set us up," she whispered. "I don't get it. Why would she do that?" She begged me to keep Stasia. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe someone got in her ear. Or maybe she never meant to come back. We decided we needed legal help. Tina's mom called a friend who knew a lawyer. He wasn't cheap, but he listened carefully, took notes, and promised to help. Then came the next blow. Angela recovered faster than expected. Within a week, she walked into the police station and officially accused us of abducting her daughter. Just like that, we were suspects. Tina cried herself to sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling for hours, wondering how the hell I'd gone from being in a band to possibly facing charges for kidnapping. But that wasn't even the worst of it. A few days later, Angela called. She wanted money. $5,000, she said casually. "And I'll tell the cops it was all a misunderstanding." "You're blackmailing me?" I asked, stunned. "Call it reparations. For raising my kid without permission." I wanted to scream. I wanted to curse her out. But all I said was, "I don't have that kind of money." "Then you'd better find it." Click. That was the moment everything changed. I wasn't just some confused student anymore. I was a man under pressure, with a child who needed me, and a storm closing in from every direction. No one's coming to save me. We met with the lawyer again the next day. He said the case wasn't hopeless, but we needed proof. A witness. Anything that could show Angela left the baby willingly. Tina and I searched through our messages, photos, even receipts. Anything that showed Angela was present, that she interacted with us, that she handed Stasia over by choice. And then Tina remembered something. She handed me a bag that morning. There might have been something inside. We tore it open. Diapers, formula, a pink onesie, a rattle, and at the very bottom, a folded-up receipt from a pharmacy, with Angela's name on it. Dated the same day she gave us the child. It wasn't much, but it was something. The lawyer said it might help, especially if we could find the pharmacist to confirm she wasn't alone that day. We tracked down the pharmacy. By some miracle, the clerk remembered her. She had a baby stroller, and she was talking to some guy, tall, dark-haired. That was me. I asked if they had cameras. "Sure," the clerk said, "but we only keep footage for 10 days. It had been 12. We were too late. That night, I sat on the balcony outside Tina's apartment, rocking Stasia as the city lights flickered in the distance. She was sleeping, peaceful, completely unaware of the legal war brewing around her. I whispered to her, "I don't know how this ends, kiddo, but I'm not letting anyone take you. Not even if it meant breaking the law. Not even if it meant losing everything else." The pressure was relentless. Tina was barely sleeping, juggling her studies, the child, and legal stress. I wasn't much better. I'd stopped going to rehearsals altogether, and my grades were slipping so fast they practically disappeared. But the hardest part wasn't the fear of prosecution. It was the silence from Angela. No more calls. No more texts. Just that blackmail demand, and then nothing. Until one afternoon, Tina barged into my apartment, holding her phone like it was on fire. "I found her," she said breathlessly. "I found Angela." "What do you mean?" She posted on a mom's forum, under her real name. She was selling a baby stroller. It was a long shot, but the post had an email. We contacted it. No reply. Then we called the number listed. Angela picked up. It was awkward. Tense. She played dumb at first. "Who is this?" she asked, like she hadn't just tried to ruin our lives. Then she laughed. "Oh, it's you two again." I tried to stay calm. "Why are you doing this? Just take your daughter and leave us out of it." Angela sighed. "Look, I did what I had to do. You think I wanted to dump my kid on you? I was sick. I was broke. And guess what? I still am." Tina stepped in. "So you lie to the police and threaten us? You're still walking free, aren't you?" Angela replied. "So stop whining." She hung up again. That was it. We'd had enough. We went straight to our lawyer and gave him everything: recordings, screenshots, timestamps. He said it was time to flip the script. Time to go on offense. He filed a motion to counterclaim Angela for defamation and child endangerment. If we were going down, she was going down too. But court cases take time. And in the meantime, we still had Stasia. She was growing fast, learning to hold things, smiling when she recognized our faces, and sleeping longer at night. And in between all the chaos, something unexpected happened. We started to fall in love with her. Not in a forced way. Not because we had to, but because she felt like ours. It scared me. I wasn't ready to be a dad. Hell, I couldn't even commit to a job, let alone a child. But each time I fed her, changed her, or calmed her cries in the middle of the night, I felt something shift. Tina noticed it too. One night, after a particularly long day, she looked at me across the kitchen table and said, "I think we should adopt her." My spoon froze in midair. "Are you serious? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but we've done everything for her. Her own parents don't want her. We could give her a real life." It was tempting, dangerous, beautiful, but it was also complicated. "We're students," I reminded her. "We're barely surviving ourselves." "Yeah, but she's already ours. In every way that matters." I didn't have an answer. Later that night, I stood over Stasia's crib and watched her sleep. Her tiny fists curled near her chin. Her mouth barely parted. She looked so peaceful, so trusting. And I thought, maybe Tina's right. Maybe what started as an accident had become something bigger. But fate wasn't done with us. A week later, Angela showed up at my university. In person. With 2 officers. And a lawyer. They served me papers. Angela was suing for full custody, accusing us of endangerment and emotional trauma. I looked her in the eyes and asked, "Why now?" She didn't answer. She just smirked. That was the last straw. Our lawyer filed for temporary guardianship of Stasia, citing abandonment and manipulation. The hearing was scheduled in 2 weeks. We had 14 days to prove we were the better choice. It wasn't just about us anymore. It was about a child caught in the middle of something far too broken. And we were running out of time. The days leading up to the court hearing felt like years. Every morning we woke up wondering if Angela would pull another stunt. Every night we took turns staying awake in case someone came knocking again. Tina's mom had become our anchor. She stepped in, helping with everything: food, laundry, even rocking Stasia when we were too drained to function. She never said, "I told you so," even though she probably thought it every hour. Instead, she just smiled and said, "We do what we must for those we love." One night, I found Tina crying in the bathroom, her arms wrapped around her knees. "I just wanted you to notice me," she sobbed. "I didn't want a baby, a lawsuit, a broken heart. I loved you." That hit harder than anything Angela ever said. Because Tina didn't sign up for this. She just wanted to be close to me, and in doing so, she inherited chaos. I knelt beside her and whispered, "I do notice you. I always have. But I didn't deserve you." She looked up, eyes puffy, but not angry. "I don't need you to be perfect," she said. "Just be there." And I was. For the first time in my life, I was really there for someone who needed me. Stasia giggled that morning when I changed her diaper and gave her a new pacifier. It was a sound that melted me. That day, Tina and I sat down to write a letter to the judge. Our lawyer suggested it. "Be human," he said. "Tell them what this child means to you." So we did. I wrote about the first time I held her, how scared I was, and how quickly she wrapped her fingers around mine like she knew I was supposed to protect her. I wrote about the formula spills, the sleepless nights, the unexpected laughter. I wrote about love, the kind you don't plan for, but once it finds you, refuses to let go. Tina added her own piece, how she'd never felt like a mother until she had no choice but to become one. how Stasia taught her what strength was, what patience really meant, and how a little girl saved her from the loneliness she never dared to speak aloud. We attached photos, schedules, even a video of Stasia taking her first real steps between our outstretched arms in the hallway. It wasn't just evidence. It was truth. And in 2 weeks, we'd find out if the truth was enough. The day of the court hearing arrived like a storm slow, then all at once. Tina and I hadn't slept at all. We dressed Stasia in her softest outfit, a tiny pink hoodie with bunny ears, and kissed her forehead like it might be the last time. I tried to stay calm, but my hand shook every time I looked at her. Our lawyer warned us the judge wouldn't be lenient just because we were young and trying our best. The law didn't care about feelings. It cared about facts. Angela showed up late, of course. Her lawyer looked bored. She looked tired, but underneath the exhaustion was something else. Anger? Shame? I couldn't tell. When the judge entered, everything changed. He looked over the papers, glanced at us, then at Angela. Miss Lipatova, you claimed the child was taken without consent. Yet you left her voluntarily in the custody of the defendants for nearly 3 weeks. Is that correct? Angela fumbled. I was sick. I had no choice. Why didn't you contact law enforcement immediately? I didn't think I had to. I thought they would give her back. Tina stood, voice trembling. Your Honor, she left her daughter with us with no intention of returning. She vanished. She blocked our numbers. We weren't kidnapping anyone. We were saving a child from neglect. Our lawyer handed over a flash drive. Security footage. Witness statements. Medical records. The timeline is clear. Then we played the video of Stasia's first steps, her laugh, Tina singing to her off-key while I rocked her in my arms. The courtroom was quiet, except for the soft audio of a baby giggling. When it ended, I looked at Angela. She wasn't smirking anymore. She was crying. I don't know if it was guilt or fear, but for the first time, I saw her not as a villain, but as a scared girl who never got help when she needed it. The judge took a long pause before speaking. Until a formal custody arrangement is determined, I am granting temporary guardianship to Mr. Georgie and Miss Tina, based on the evidence of continuous care and the child's emotional attachment. A full review will follow in 60 days. I couldn't breathe. Tina squeezed my hand so tightly I thought my fingers might snap. But I didn't let go. We had done it. Not one. Not yet. But earned the right to keep loving her, at least for now. The next few weeks passed like a dream. For once, it wasn't a nightmare. Stasia was safe. We were a team. Tina's mom helped us turn the tiny apartment into something resembling a real home. Crib, safety gates, a calendar on the fridge marked doctor and nap time instead of band practice and finals. I dropped out of school. Yeah, I know. Not the happy ending you expected, right? But I needed to work. We needed rent, diapers, baby food. So I picked up a night job at a local bar, played weekend gigs for cash, and came home every morning just in time to help feed Stasia. Was it exhausting? Sure. Was it worth it? Every single second. Angela visited once. She brought a toy and some baby food and stood in the doorway like a stranger. She's gotten big, she whispered. She missed you, Tina replied, though we both knew it wasn't entirely true. Angela knelt down and kissed Stasia's cheek. The baby didn't react, she didn't cry, but she didn't smile either. That hurt her, I think. Before she left, Angela turned to me. You're a better dad than I thought. I'm trying, I said honestly. She looked at Tina. You didn't have to help me. But you did. You're a better person than me. Tina just nodded. Angela never came back after that. Months passed. The full custody hearing came and went. Angela didn't fight. She signed over her rights voluntarily. And suddenly, Stasia was no longer someone else's child. She was ours. Tina officially adopted her. And me? I didn't need paperwork to be her father. I just needed to be there. I was there when she got her first fever and wouldn't stop crying. I was there when she said her first word, Mama. I was there the first time she called me Dada, even though I wasn't ready for it. I was there when she took a crayon and drew all over the kitchen wall, then looked up at me like she knew I'd forgive her. I did. I always would. Looking back now, it's wild how life can change in a single moment. One random girl, one summer fling, one child, and suddenly you're standing in court, fighting not just for your future, but for a little soul that didn't ask for any of this. But love? Love doesn't ask. It chooses. And sometimes, we have to choose it back. Not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because it's right.